Nottingham Forest wonder kid Brennan Johnson has apparently had talks with Chelsea. Welcome to your latest Forest transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. In today's video, we will give you the latest on Brennan Johnson as a new twist has emerged. We'll talk to you about Scarpa going to the Greeks. The price for Nuno has been set by Arsenal. And there are one or two more links. So let's get into this. But before we do, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. We'll have a predictor stream for you tonight at 4:30 and then followed by a match preview with the Grumpy Old Reds at 8 p.m. tonight. And finally, don't forget, if you want that signed framed MGW shirt, go check it out in the link below. You have until 7:30 tonight to get the last few tickets. All right, let's jump into this and let's start with Johnson. So as we all know, and as we have told you over the last weeks, months, it feels like almost years, Jono may be sold this summer. But before we get into why Chelsea are interested, let me give you the backstory on Chelsea's ongoings and how they've reached this, crossroad, if you like. So Chelsea had triggered the release fee clause for Olise from Crystal Palace, which was only 35 million. And it looked like he was set to be on his way across to Stamford Bridge. However, in a massive twist of events today, he's decided to sign a new 4-year deal with Crystal Palace and has rejected Chelsea. And therefore, Chelsea have now turned their attention firmly on Brennan Johnson. They are looking to bolster their strike force. They're looking to get more goals in there. We've seen Todd Bowley literally playing, it's as if it's Monopoly for him with the amount of money he's chucking in. At the rate he's going, he will have spent over £1 billion on incoming transfers by the end of this window, which is crazy money. And the real question is, how are Chelsea avoiding FFP issues? Well, because he's doing this whole 8-year contract, 6-year contracts and everything else, they get to spread it out and they have found a loophole within the system. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole FFP discussion. We got a video on that about Forest situation, so check that out if you're interested. Anyway, back to Brennan Johnson. So, are Chelsea going to come in and offer Forest straight cash? Is he going to come in and offer us a stupid price like 60, 70 million for Jono? The answer to that is no. I think this may be a little bit of a swap deal, and I don't think this suits Forest. I think we may see Hudson-Odoi, for example. Chalobah, being chucked in as part of this deal. Maybe one or two other Chelsea fringe players as a little tempter, plus some cash. So I could see this being maybe 30 mil up front plus a couple of players. Now, if you'd asked me this 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'd have said Forest would reject this because we need the cash. We don't necessarily need those players. However, with a couple of defensive injuries, still needing to bolster the midfield, still looking for maybe a backup striker for Awoniyi, it may be something that tempts Nottingham Forest. So expect to see potentially a bid coming in shortly from Chelsea. It seems like they've spoken to Jono's reps and probably have come to some agreement. Now that part, I don't know. But what I do know is Jono's been very quiet this summer about his future. He's had the new agent come in. We've told you guys about that before. He is definitely an ambitious young man. At 22, his best playing days are still ahead of him. So would a move to Chelsea make sense? I don't know. At the moment, you would say short-term yes for him. And I'm not talking about how we feel about it or how I feel about it. I'm talking about him. Short-term right now, it would make sense because Nkunku is out of the picture for at least a few months after the injury he picked up. Therefore, getting into that team may not be so hard initially. Now, if he can get in there and prove himself early doors and make himself indispensable, which he has the potential to do, then yes, it would make sense. But Nkunku will always be the first choice, and Nkunku, though, is a bit more versatile as he can play anywhere across the front line. So it does kind of make sense, but I don't know if it's the right long-term move for Jono. He may find himself, as a lot of Chelsea players have, in a rotational system. Now, you could argue that Jono himself has found he's been rotated at Nottingham Forest towards the end of last season and may find that same conundrum towards the beginning of this season when we go away from home and are playing some of those big six teams. So, in his mind, he may be weighing up, what's the difference? I'm doing it for Chelsea. I'll have potential for European football maybe next year. But I don't know if it's the right fit for him. I don't know if the culture's right. Maybe as a young 22-year-old, he likes the idea of going down to London. Jono, if you're watching, I can tell you, man, London is overhyped. It's crowded, it's smelly, it's expensive. Even Chelsea, Kensington and Chelsea, it's really crowded. So stay in Nottingham. But anyway, the point here is, back to the serious side of it, Forest will have to listen to offers. There's no two ways about it. We've seen how they've been dealing with transfers in this window. It's almost like beggar bowl coming out. Can we take this player off you? Yes, you can have a look at him. The club that we're approaching say, okay, we'll offer you a fiver and we want to loan him for the first year and then pay you next year. And that clearly sends a sign that we are struggling with FFP. And I don't think a rocket scientist needs to tell you that for you to know that that's exactly the case. So I do expect Jono, any offers that come in for him, to be seriously considered by Nottingham Forest. But what's good about Chelsea coming in is we know they can be stupid with their money. We've seen some of the money deals they've done, 115 million for Casado or whatever it was. We saw them go over 100 for Enzo last season. So chucking big numbers isn't out of the equation. But it just depends on, will Forest accept a partial swap deal for Jono? Add on to that, we know Spurs are interested, we know West Ham are interested, and we know the B-Techs at Brentford are still interested. And is this the right recipe that Forest need to allow Jono to go, where we could maybe get people trying to outbid each other? It could work out in our favour. Now, in terms of the player himself, obviously he's one of our own and obviously he brings so much good onto the pitch. But it has been proven towards the end of last season that we don't necessarily have to have him in every match. And is he a luxury item that we could do without? Get your thoughts in on that down below. And if Jono is going, and let's play devil's advocate, I want to know where you think he ends up. So chuck that in the comments as well. Okay, let's move on to our next story, and that is Scarpa. And I will give you guys some warning now. I won't be ranting on it. I've said what I've had to say throughout the week. I've made my feelings clear. But I will be asking the Grumpy Old Reds tonight on their thoughts on it at 8 p.m. So Scarpa has on Instagram shown a post where he is flying out to Greece. He is on his way to Olympiacos. And the deal looks to be a loan deal, but with an option to buy. Now, the one thing I will say is surely there were players ahead of him in the pecking order that needed to be moved on, aka Shelvey, for example. Would it not have made more sense to ship him out on loan to the Greeks and get his 65k off the books? Scarpa, for whichever side of the fence you sit on, I think had a great attitude towards Nottingham Forest, towards the Premier League, and towards life in general. But I'm going to keep it short and sweet on this one. Scarpa is going to Olympiacos, as we told you earlier in the week, and he has flown out today. So skater boy, see you later, boy. He wasn't good enough for us. Will he be a movie star? I'm not going to do the rest of the words. Anyway, Scarpa's gone. Okay, so let's move on to our next story, and it's a follow-up from yesterday's one on Nuno Tavares from Arsenal. And Arsenal have set their price, and it's an eye-watering £22 million for the Portuguese player. And I'm pretty convinced that Arsenal are convinced That no way in hell do they even think they're going to get anywhere near that. Not with his credentials, seriously. I think Arsenal realistically will be looking more for like 15 mil, but I don't even think Forest will go that high for him. I think if this deal is going to happen, it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 13 million, maybe with add-ons bringing it up to 15. I still haven't changed my position on him from yesterday. I know quite a few of you actually were up for it. That's fine. Each person is completely entitled to their opinion and their thoughts on this channel. But let me ask you this. If Arsenal did demand the 22 million for him, would you spend that? And let's remember that Lodi went to Marseille for 11 and a bit million pounds. That's the difference. Basically, what Arsenal are saying is Nuno is twice as good as Lodi. So that's the update there. Like, it's clear we still do want a left back. I just don't think he's the right person for us. I'm not going to rant again like I did yesterday. I'll save you guys all that hassle right now. But I really want to know if you think he's worth anywhere near 22 million. Now, if you don't think he's worth 22 million, how much do you think Forest should pay for him? What is your valuation on the player? And would you take him or not? Does that change your mind? Let me know down below. Okay, so another link coming Forest way is Youssouf Fofana from Monaco, who is a quality midfielder as well. I don't want to go into too much details on him because I'm still not convinced about it. It's been reported in a few newspapers. I'm getting to the stage now where I'll believe it when I see it. There's so many players being linked to Nottingham Forest. We could just do a whole video, which would last about 3 hours, naming them all. But it looks like something in and around 30 million is about to be bid from Nottingham Forest. I don't know if I believe it. I don't know. If it develops, we'll bring it to you. If it gets better sourced, we'll bring it to you as well. But it's clear to see, either way, that Forest are on the hunt for a CDM. And that for me is very, very good news. Would I take him at Forest? Absolutely. He's an absolute wildebeest. There's a lot of these CDMs that are available that could do a real good job for us. But anyway, guys, that will do for your news today. Get your thoughts in on Jono. Things are getting serious, as Monica would say in Friends. Don't forget, we'll be back at 4:30 tonight for the Predictor stream and then 8 o'clock for the live gore, as tomorrow Forest will face the scum that is Scumfield United. Can't wait to see what the boys have to say. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that like button on the video if you'd be so kind. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you're new, and we'll see you in a couple of hours. Come on, you Reds.